Hello and welcome to Hey Clarity. I'm your host Lindsay, and today we are opening the Akashic Records on evolution. So it's E-week of the alphabet superset. There will be more information about that in the description box below. And the questions that we're going to be asking are, what is evolution? Who or what evolves? How do we evolve? Why do we evolve? How have we evolved as humans? For the better, for worse? What is the potential of our evolution? And how advanced are we in our evolution as a species? Like symbolically, if they can give us an answer for that. And then lastly, what's the most important message we need to know about evolution? So let's get into it. I said the opening prayer prior to hitting record, so we're in the Akashic Records of evolution now. And first question, what is evolution? They're showing me this like big ball kind of like floating in the air, rolling. And there's something about the fact that it's a ball, that it's round, right? So it's like keeping the ball rolling, but it's rolling slowly. And it's rolling, the fact that it's a ball is like, it can roll, it seems like it's rolling, it can roll in all these different directions. It's interesting though, because I feel like I'm not getting the sense that like it's rolling backwards, right? It's rolling forwards. It rolls in like this direction, but there's something specific about this ball rolling. It's kind of like keep the ball rolling, keep the ball rolling. And the fact that it's a ball again, it's got all these angles. There's so many angles. But they're saying there's something about smooth. There's something about evolution being smooth. And then there's something about like there's a pace and a speed that this ball is rolling. It has like a really kind of nice, like relaxing tempo. And it's like something about if it's speeding up, like, ooh, like it doesn't feel so good. No. Or if something kind of like interrupts the ball rolling at this nice pace, like almost like a nick in the ball is what they're showing. It's like, ooh, like there's something that happens when it's not smooth, when there isn't this smooth like pace. Anything else? What is evolution? They're basically saying ideally, like evolution is a smooth process. It makes sense. It's something that makes sense. They're saying like totally. And again, with like the fact that it's this like almost round ball. I want to say that the ball I'm looking at that's like in the air is like, it's like stone. There's something about it being like stone. They're kind of like, there's something like solid about it. There's something very solid about this structure. This ball being stone. But the rolling, they're kind of just like rolling with it. And it's like rolling with the environment. Oh, so that's what they're saying about like the interruption, right? Like evolution ideally is this kind of like smooth rolling. And it's like the environment keeps it rolling smooth. I mean, the pace is even slower than what I'm doing with my hands. It's like almost like the way you see people showing like, you know, examples of like, you know, planets in orbit in space. They're like that. Like there's a pace with like the environment. And then I'm getting that those nicks or speeding it up is like these interactions, these interruptions, and these interferences, they're saying like is disruptive to this smooth evolution. Who, what evolves? They said everything. like every living thing, a living thing, every living thing, every living being, everything, they're like microcosm, macrocosm, like everything large and small, a living thing, a living being. It has based on the interactions with its environment. It's about adaptability, right? Adapts. So adaptability evolves. A living thing, a living being always evolves based on interactions and reactions and experiences with the outer world, with the environment. Anything else you want to say about that? Who or what evolves? They're saying everything, like every living being, every living thing, as long as it's in existence. Period. How do we evolve? Oh, they just said something like with that period, they were like existence period. They were like, it's almost like when something can't adapt, it can't evolve, right? It can no longer exist in the environment. That's like the extinction. And they're showing like a slew of like animals in the animal kingdom, and like the ones that become extinct or have become extinct, it's because the environment is not allowing it to live, threatens its survival so much that it gives up. Like the evolution, it can't even evolve. It can't even, like, it's like allowing something long enough to survive and thrive. You can see the evolution of it. But obviously if the environment is like, they're kind of saying like tormenting, torturing the species, this living being, it can't survive. Like obviously that is the end of that living being, living thing, extinction. And they're just like sad, like very sad, unnecessarily sad. Because they're saying like there's a perfection in Earth's ecosystem. And like even within like the chaos of things, like the natural ecosystem finds its balance and evolves and adapts and grows and learns and functions. There's learning and growing. So it's just when something becomes extinct, they're saying it's very sad because it's completely unnecessary on the planet, on this planet. They're like everything has the possibility, the potential to thrive and grow and learn and evolve on this planet. It's like meant to be that way. And so it's unnecessary, and it's kind of like, they're almost saying it's like almost like unnatural for, there's like, it's so powerful. Extinction is so powerful, like threatening a species of a living thing or a living being is like, there's so much sadness around that because it's unnecessary. How do we evolve? How do we evolve? How do living beings and living things evolve? So they're showing this kind of like gooey cell being thing, like almost like, let's think of like a tadpole, right? Think of like a tadpole. And they're showing this tadpole, and it's like, it's on the earth, and it's like rolling around, and it's like flopping around and getting hurt, and it starts to build up like a callus, and it starts to like form a little more solid. It becomes stronger on the inside, more of a callus, and then they're saying, and then it turns into like that concrete or like marble ball, right? So it's like at first it's like super raw and vulnerable and subject to like all the, like basically getting like beat up in the world, right? It like learns like this little tadpole hardening, callousing, and then eventually turning into this like very strong, they're saying like bold, like every move, but there is a long period of time where like a species is raw and vulnerable. And so they're kind of saying like each evolution phase is navigating and adapting to this kind of like tenderness, this rawness, this vulnerability, and then becoming like stronger, tougher, right? They're like it goes from like super soft and squishy moving to like maybe like a little like rubberized, and then harder, and then this like beautiful kind of like stone, like marble. And then that's when things can roll really strong. That's when things can evolve like really strong. And I'm getting like the core of that living being or that living thing can like roll through the environment like with great ease and becomes like so powerful. So that's how we evolve. So they're saying like raw, vulnerable, a little bit of like sloppy and messy, and then things like tighten up and become stronger. So like based on interactions and adaptability with the environment. Why do we evolve? They're just saying surviving, thriving, health, healthy ecosystem. Why do we evolve? Why do we evolve? They're also saying like we can choose to or not. They're saying like, they're kind of saying, for example, like people, they're saying like things like intelligence or intellect and like tradition. And they're kind of saying like, again, with this like rolling, keeping the ball rolling, and they're like rolling with the punches, right? Getting like, you know, sometimes with evolution, it's like you're tired of getting beat up. And so you'd rather just kind of stay in place. And so you won't change and you won't evolve. And they're saying, and like, you know, that's okay, kind of on like an individual level, but on like a collective level, this rawness and this vulnerability needs to strengthen, needs to be hardened to survive, right? And that's the adaptability. And they're saying like the creativity. And they're just showing like, you know, there's lots that can be beat up in a species, right? There's like the physicality, there's the like, they're almost saying like the nourishment adaptability of like adapting to the types of foods you have access to and like how that affects the body from the inside out. And then like the species that deal with like the emotions, the feelings, the mentality, evolution. Like different species have different types of ways that they are going through evolution. But they're saying it's all for like surviving and ideally thriving within this natural ecosystem. How have we evolved as humans? Super general question. How have we evolved as humans? They're saying like fastest forward, like beyond fast forward, fastest forward. And they said skipped the beat. We're skipping beats. And because we're going so fast, there's like, they're saying your heartbeat, your anxiety, your stress, it's like you're out of rhythm with the ecosystem, you're out of rhythm with the planet. And because of that, they're saying we're like malfunctioning as a species. They're just saying fastest forward. Like they're like fast, faster, fastest, fast, faster, fastest. And they're like, why? And it's kind of like, why not? Like testing. Like it's almost like humans, like we're testing our own evolution and we're pushing our limitations as a species in ourselves, but they're saying there needs to be recognition for how we are fast forwarding our species to our detriment. And they're saying, like, cleverly and clearly, like, there are wake-up calls to this. Like, we're waking up to the reality of, like, our body functioning, our body malfunctioning in this world. And, like, the alarms going off in our systems, like, all day. They're like, your anxiety is so unnatural because they're like off the beaten path. Like, you're out of sync. Your beat, your rhythm, your heartbeat, your heart rhythm, like, you're not tuned into the rhythm of the planet. They're saying, like, the tone, the frequency, and they're like, slow down, slow down, slow down, like the pace of the world, the pace of your life. And they just said, like, pandemic was like kind of like this global wake-up call. Like, no matter where, like, I'm getting, like, the virus is saying, like, no matter where I came from, like, it was so purposeful to, like, stop, slow down. And then what is that like? How do you feel? They're kind of like, lost your mind. Like, did you lose your mind in that stop? Did you feel better in that stop? And it was like a chance to kind of like embrace the reality of our systems in our civilization, society, people, systems, bodily systems, checking in with our bodies. It was just such a big wake-up call. They're just saying, like, pandemic, like, was like this master wake-up call in the collective, like, for a reason. So how have we evolved as humans for the better? They're saying for, like, health and medical procedures, like, the fact that we can, like, piece ourselves back together, that we can put in these, like, implants of things to, like, get our working parts working again. They're saying, like, they're showing a mix of, like, that, but then they're almost showing, like, someone in a hospital bed, but then they're also, like, outside in nature. So there's some crossover that needs to be there of just, like, you know, the recognizing the power of nature and plants as medicine, like, just as much as this, like, the medicine of, like, modern technology being able to, like when we have, like, breaking points, to, like, put us back together, to, like, put our pieces back together, is what they're saying. Like, evolution, like, as, like, bodies, as people, as humans, like, that's impressive, that we can do so much to, like, body parts and body functioning and malfunctioning to put it back together. And there is a recognition of, like, some of those things not being so great, but they're saying, like, the ones that are great are, like, really just, like, absolutely incredible, like, very impressive for the human species. And they're saying, like, not without great care and acknowledging other parts of the world, each other, like, sharing of information, right? Okay, so the sharing of information, obviously connecting us globally through language and modern technology to share ideas, to share information. Like, you know, there's, like, they're showing, like, the scales of that, of, like, how that is so beneficial and how that also can be, like, highly detrimental, which is kind of leading into the next part. But I want to see if there's anything else, because I feel like there's a lot. How have we evolved as humans for the better? There's something about motherhood. Most recently, gaining traction, backtracking of like the importance of like masculine and feminine energetically, but also like the role of a mother and motherhood of like breeding new groups of people, and how the acknowledgement and the awareness of how important that is. Like, it's a very important thing. They're saying like raising children, raising populations, like breeding groups of like next generations coming back, because I'm getting like there's like social, political, like I'm getting like backlash and drama around like the role of a woman and the role of a mother. But they're saying like it's an important thing. It's a very important thing. And to disregard motherhood as a role, an important role in society, is highly detrimental to the world. And so the slow down, the pace, conversations about like, they're saying like matriarchy and things like that, just having the focus back on that just at all. Because I'm getting it was like run over, like they're showing a car like running over like the woman and like what a woman is. And it was like women were acting like in this masculine role and men were in this masculine role. So like everybody's in this masculine role. So like who's in the motherhood role? Who's in the nurturing, the nourishing of like childhood and childbearing and care? And so for the better is like there were wake-up calls around the importance of this, right? Like sounds of an alarm were going off of just the need to return to this, like regardless of the social and political, they're kind of saying like inequality and like injustices, but like the importance of motherhood and matriarchy in a village, in a community. Like they're saying the continuation of generations could be, it's kind of like abled or like disabled based on the high or low quality of childhood. So how have we evolved as humans for worse? For the worst. They're showing people, they're saying competition. They're like, it's so stupid because we are all belonging here. Like we all belong here. We all serve a purpose like as a group. And they're showing people like standing next to each other, like knocking each other with their shoulders, like me first. They're like me first, me first. Like, I don't know. It's just, it's very immature and aggressive. They're just saying competition. They're saying the competition is unnecessary. And like that leads to like rage and anger and violence and war, right? So like country to country competition, like they're showing people in a workplace competition, like they're like, you're part of a group, you're part of an ecosystem, like you all serve your function. They're kind of like work it out, like almost like it's like work out, or like when you have this like these emotions and these human feelings and these rage and whatever's bubbling up in you, they're like go work out, like get it through your system, like whatever you gotta do, or like work it out through like communication, like kind of like respect, like as a role, that everyone has a role in society, in the ecosystem. Like what is your role in your neighborhood, in your community? What is your role at your job? And what is your role as a human on the planet? And they're saying there's a big question mark there, that humans don't understand their role on this planet. And so they're doing all this kind of like, they're saying like unnecessary roles, like all these things that don't really serve like the natural ecosystem the way that it's like meant to be. And they're showing we're all like super like focused on this teeny tiny part of being on this planet, and they're calling it modern technology. Like it means this much unless it finds a way to support, embrace, nurture, nourish, and kind of like work with like harmoniously with the natural world with the ecosystem, right? So they're showing like almost like a machine that is like, it has a flow, it's like working gently, but it's like in like a rainforest, and it's serving a purpose, like it's doing something to help, but it's taking up like a tiny spot, and the rest is like all these beautiful trees and plants and animals all around it, but it's not interfering. Like the interaction is peaceful. And so there's like, they're kind of like, that's not the usual case. It's like your modern technology is like in the woods, like they're showing a rainforest, and it's like these like machines that are like chopping down trees and setting things on fire and being so violent. And it's like, there are like better ways, and you know, they're saying better places to like have those interactions. So there's something about like the technology, the modern technology needs to be in co-creation with the ecosystem, not against it, not destroying it, not you know, in destruction of it. But they're like, if you could use your modern technology to, they're kind of saying, expand the natural order and the natural ecosystem and help it grow and help it flourish for you, for human survival, then they're like, exclamation point, like bingo. Like that could be your role. You love modern technology so much, then like have it serve like a natural ecosystemic purpose, not like an exploitative, destructive, violent, careless purpose. So that's part of our, how we're evolving for the worse. Anything else for the worse? They're just like attitudes. We have this like, these like surface level attitudes that they're saying are unnecessary. Like we're so focused on the details, and like they're kind of saying like these like, they're like micro expressions and nuances, and like we like nitpick and hold on to like every little detail. We're so like focused on these little details, and they're just like, pull back, look at the bigger picture. And it's even, there's even something about the way that like our phones are small and our eyes zero in and see these tiny little details. It is like training our brain to see our world in these like tiny little judgmental details. And they're like, that's also so unnecessary. Like zoom out. Like the judgmental is detrimental. Like judgment of the details and all this nitpicking and picking each other apart. And they're saying like canceling and just like, kind of like let it live, let it be, like let everybody be. They're like mistakes and growing and learning, and like that's part of it. But they're like the levels of punishment that we're like, they're saying impounding on each other is like, they're kind of saying it's reaching a critical mass that is so highly detrimental to our mental and emotional health. And they're saying it's creating this like mental illness and like fear of mental illness. And they're just like, more mental illness. It's just like, you guys are obsessed with nitpicking. You're obsessed with judging each other. You're obsessed with the details. And they're kind of like pull back, fall back, like let it be, let each other be. Leave each other alone, like leave it alone. It's like, give it a rest, give it a break, give each other a break, back off, zoom out, look at the bigger picture. Like they're like nature's ecosystem. Like if you're stressing like a bunch of little bullshit, they're like, that's part of this like growing need to be in nature. It's like nature is kind of like whispering and like whistling to us, like, come here, you mentally ill humans, like come on, we're gonna take care of you, like come lay in the grass, like come sit against a tree, listen to the birds, dip your body in the ocean. Nature's like, come here, sick ones. Come feel better. It's like Mama Earth's gonna hug you, like let us take care of you. because it's just like there's like a lot of sadness actually. Like it's like the planet is looking at us and our destruction, and almost like they're kind of saying like the trajectory is like, it's like a failure of evolution. It's like a false evolution because we're focused on these things that are not a part of the natural order of the world, like that tiny little pinpoint, right? Like we're obsessed with modern technology, right? We're obsessed with technology and we're just zeroed in on that. And there's this whole world, there's a tiny little point and there's this whole world around it. But we're focused on this. And it's like, you've got like this outer world and it's like calling you back and it's for you. And it's like, instead of focusing on this, like, they're calling it kind of like a nothing world. We've created a reality in like a nothing world. And we have this whole world in our environment, like physical, material world. So they're like other realms, other worlds, and like that's like a human almost like functioning realm of society and civilization. Like we've created it, this tiny little thing. And they're like, it's impressive, but it's also become so unhealthy and detrimental to us and like obviously nature's ecosystem. And they're like, unless you find ways to like have it be rhythmic and like appropriately embedded in the environment to like nourish and support, and they're like kind of save. What is the potential of our evolution as humans? What is the potential? They're saying like vast expansion. They're actually showing like an extraterrestrial kind of like levitating in space. They're like, the way that extraterrestrials are able to like peek into our world, but their bodies, their beings have adapted to kind of tolerate like, again, like multi-ecosystems. So their bodies have adapted in a way where they are like oversimplified compared to us, and they can handle extremes. And so they're saying like, it's not far off in like light years, but it's like pretty far off. But they're just saying like, for comparison, like humans down the line could have, if there's no extinction, the adaptability to physically travel into other planets, other worlds, like from a physical, right? Because then they're also like, well, then there's the spiritual, right? Like we can go anywhere. In our spirit, we can go anywhere to other worlds, other realms, things like that. But they're saying like the physical, the material world, the physicality. They're like, someday, not too soon, but the bodies could potentially evolve to have the adaptability to go on to like other planets and survive and like not die. But they keep saying like, not far too long, but kind of. And it's kind of like, you're gonna make it or break it soon, because of just like, it's more like, that's not really on your radar. It can't be on your radar because your focus needs to be on like mass extinction. So they're kind of like, you've got other problems. So that's like, if this was a perfect world and we didn't like make it messy, we didn't create all this messiness, then we might be focused on that more. But we can't go into that kind of thriving, because right now, like, they're saying you're like like soon to be like barely surviving. So you're gonna have to, it's kind of like they're saying like you made your bed and now you're gonna lay in it. So if we set this place on fire, our adaptability, instead of like being adaptable to go into other planets, out into space, our adaptability is just in our own backyard. They're saying, unfortunately. Mass extinction is your surviving focus and thriving focus. If it was another story, it would be other worlds, other planets. Anything else around that? What is the potential of our evolution? Damn. They said vast, and then they just said mass extinction. The potential of our evolution is they're saying it's going to be based on the survival of mass extinction. So it's almost like our challenge, right? Like our evolution is like, will we rise to this occasion? Will our evolution is based on mass extinction or not? And everything that human beings as a species will learn through the interactions and changes of the environment, like the extremes here, right? So it's kind of like we'll see what happens, right? As a species, like who will see it, who will see extinction, who will see mass extinction, who will see beyond it, who will survive beyond it. So it's all like, the evolution will be who survives mass extinction. Like the very few people who survive mass extinction, like they'll be the evolution of the human species. If that's a thing. Real shit. How advanced are we in our evolution as a species symbolically? Like I'm asking this question because I want to see like if they can make it super, super simplified for us. Like, I don't know how that's going to be. Let's see. How advanced are we in our evolution as a species symbolically? They're showing a chimpanzee in a suit that's like talking and like writing in class. They're kind of saying like, you're not too far from a monkey. And they're like give credit and get credit. Something about overdue to the animals. Like they have a different type of evolution than us. I'm getting that they don't waste their words. Like they're evolved telepathically. They're evolved in their senses beyond many humans. But then the reason that we have an advantage is because of our language and our physicality. But they're saying like, don't underestimate the animal kingdom. Or they're kind of like, stop underestimating the animal kingdom because you are not far from them. Your advantages are solely based on language and physicality and modern technology and weapons. But they're saying like, basically don't think that you're smarter than an animal. Don't think that you're better than an animal. And they're saying especially when most of the animal kingdom has been around longer than human beings. So they're like, don't forget that. Like, please don't forget that. And that's a huge problem right now, is like underestimating the importance of the animal kingdom in this natural ecosystem. And that we think that like it all belongs to us and we can just like devour and consume all of it. It's ours for the taking. And it's like, the animal kingdom is kind of like, this was all functioning and working like just right. And like, who the fuck are you guys and who do you think you are? Right? And so they're saying that like catastrophe and like disaster towards like the human species is inevitable to restore balance in the natural ecosystem. So it's kind of like, they're almost like the wars of nature. So they're showing like, okay, like in the natural ecosystem, in nature, if there's too many of one species and they're overrunning something, there's too much of one species in an area, eventually something is going, there's a tipping point, and eventually something is going to, they're saying, eradicate the numbers of that species in an area to restore balance in the natural ecosystem. So they're like homeostasis, like the homeostasis of nature's ecosystem, and restoration and restoring balance. And they're saying violently or peacefully, through hardship or ease. And they're kind of like, it's a little bit of like, you choose. Why are you saying you choose? How is that a choice? Like how you choose to be in the world, how you choose to be in the ecosystem. So they're like, if you're seeing like a tipping point of something that's disastrous and harmful, you can interrupt it, you can lessen it, you can help kind of like interfere and rebalance things, right? They're like humans, like you're smart, right? You're intelligent, right? Like you can do better, right? When you see something, there's too much of something. They're saying the word culling. You know, they're like, we do it sometimes. And then they're like, you can interrupt and kind of help restore balance. They're kind of like nudging things along in the right direction to restore balance. So they're like, you can do that on purpose. You can do that as like problem solving. Or you can sit and wait around for the disaster. And they're saying like, it's important and it's worth it to pay attention to nature's ecosystem, to the ecosystem of the planet. Because if you're not, they're just showing like a volcano exploding and earthquakes and just like a bunch of people just like being eradicated. Yeah. So we're monkeys in suits who can talk intelligently and create modern technology. They're like, you're smart, you're intelligent, like you are. But they're also like, use it for the good of the planet. They're like, knowledge, light bulb, knowledge, wisdom, knowledge, wisdom, use it, you have it, use it. Last question, what's the most important message that we need to know about evolution? What is the most important message that we need to know about evolution? They're saying path, pathways, pathology. Pathways, pathology. Neuropathways, pathology. Focus on your pathologies. Focus on your belief systems. Pay attention to the world. Pay attention to the environment. Get in sync. They actually just made like a little joke, and they were like in sync, and they were showing like the boy band in sync and like dancing in sync, like in a rhythm, right? They're like in a rhythm. They're like being really cutesy and funny about it, but they're like, look, like they're dancing in sync. They're dancing in a rhythm. Like you as people can dance in a rhythm. Like, what's the rhythm? What's the natural order of humans, of the human species on the planet? They're like, figure it out, go back in time. They're like, study the indigenous and how the cycles of nature, the natural cycles of the world, like go back into that and like be in sync, right? Like what type of rhythm, what rhythmic beat? They're like, you have so much information, so much scientific evidence, so much historical reference available to you. They're like, through your modern technology, like what are the natural rhythms of the earth? What are the cycles of the earth? Get in sync with the world, get in sync with the environment. And they're like, and you're a living thing, you're a living being. You're a part of this living, breathing ecosystem as people. And they're like, do your part. Do your part as a person. Get in sync with that. And it's almost like, can you like make your businesses, can your businesses stem from that rhythm, you know? And they're just showing like, you know, like the working week, right? The slowing down and the hours, and like, there's all this like knowledge, acknowledgement, this recognition, these wake up calls of like, we're not working. We're malfunctioning as a species. We're facing mass extinction, and there are things we can do about it. So they're like, do that. Change your businesses. And they're showing that like, it's going to be hard to turn that, right? It's going to be hard to like get out of these kind of like the like societies, they're saying previous kind of ways of being and expectations, but they're like, it, you know, once you turn and you get into this like sync in this rhythm, the natural cycles of the planet, the natural cycles of the ecosystem, once you get back into that cyclical, they're like resonance, they're kind of like you'll do less damage, like no more damage, and that it's really imperative to be doing that, to like be adaptable and like surviving the threats of mass extinction. And they're kind of like, try again, try your best, try again, try your best. Like, this is the experimentation time. Like, they're actually saying that from that tadpole to the stone, like our goal is to be that smooth rolling stone. But they're saying right now you're kind of like rubber. So you might be like bouncing off a lot of ideas, points of view. You're getting tougher, right? But we're not that yet. We're not the tadpole. We're not helpless. We're not raw. We're not flopping around. We're more like rubber. So we can feel things. We're bouncing all over the place. We've got this rubber, but like there's the need, they're saying, like, to be like creative and adaptable. And they're like, if you can, you know, make your modern technology blend in and be a part of like nourishing and co-creating with the rhythms and the cycles of the planet, then that would be, they're saying ideal. They're saying ideal. And they're saying be idealists, please. Be idealists. Like aim for the perfection of matching and being in sync, getting in sync with the ecosystem of the planet. Like if you're like, you're perfectionist, you have all these deadlines, cool. Your deadline is to pay attention to the natural cycles of the environment around you, your immediate environment and the bigger environment. They're like, study your planet, study the ecosystems, study how they work, study how they fail, and then there'll be less malfunctioning. Okay? Okay. So that was the Akashic Records on evolution. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave that in the comment section below. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time.